What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simmy.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are longing to be seen as we dive into episodes 6 through 10 of A24 and Netflix's new original series, Beef.
Yes, we are on episodes 6 through 10. This show, if you do not know, it is about two people who let a road rage incident burrow into their minds and slowly consume their every thought and action. There are definitely spoilers ahead for 6 through 10. We covered episodes 1 through 5 last week on the pod. Had a delightful time talking about this new show, Beef, that's on Netflix from A24 as well. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back, check it out, and then listen to this episode, I would assume. But definitely don't listen to this episode if you have not watched episodes 6 through 10, because we're going full bore here. This is the full.
We got to talk about it all, man.
We got to talk about
There's
it.
so much to talk about.
There's a lot of things. We have a lot of notes, and you know, we are 24 minutes of A24. Listeners know we don't. It's just a moniker. We don't abide.
Never,
right?
It's like multiple 24 minutes, added up. Usually 2, sometimes 3 24s. Yeah,
segments of 24 minutes. I will say, probably next week on the pod, we're probably looking at
24 hours.
5 segments? Yeah, we'll go for the 24-hour pod. We'll be covering Beau is Afraid, and both of us are very prepared for a long pod, so we can't wait. So yes, we're doing episodes 6 through 10, streaming on Netflix right now. But before we talk about that, we do have a little bit of A24 news, a little A24 housekeeping. We got a trailer for the brand new horror movie, Talk to Me. What are you thinking about the trailer, Ben?
Dude, it's crazy that, we just talked about a new Ari Aster movie coming out.
Yep.
And this trailer to me feels so much more like the Hereditary vibe and Midsommar vibe. I was really freaked out by this trailer. I think it looks really well done and really good. And I think it's directorial debut from these guys who, made their fame on YouTube. So I'm very excited to see what they do. We've covered someone in that similar boat with Bo Burnham in 8th grade. So we know that people can translate from YouTube to feature films really easily and really well. But this trailer, man, it looks intense. Even, every A24 trailer, we get their logo somehow. And this one is just by deforming this hand into the shape of a 2. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? So
Unhinged.
I can't necessarily, in all honesty, say I'm looking forward to watching that movie, but I know it's going to be really good. It's going to be an event for sure.
100%. I will, because of this podcast, I will have to see this movie in a theater. Obviously, it is coming exclusively to theaters on July 28th. It is from the YouTube duo Raka Raka, I believe it's pronounced.
Raka Raka, yeah. Australian guys, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to see it. I'm going to have to go at a showing where I know other people are there. This movie looks way too scary for me. It is, when a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. Sounds downright frightening, to be honest with you. And this trailer is pretty unhinged. There's a kangaroo with blood on its feet, and I just I don't know how we get there, and I'm really concerned. This movie did show at Sundance. A lot of praise out of Sundance, obviously, for A24 to purchase it and then go right into making it theatrical 5 months later. I feel like that's a substantial amount of hype. The other big thing for this one, 94 minutes, Ben.
Oh,
that's right up our alley, dude.
Yeah, 100%. We could watch 2 of those in the time of Beau.
We could.
Yeah. Or, Babylon, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is true. You know what? I think we stick to watching Babylon. We'll just watch Babylon in 1/3 chunks instead of watching this movie 3 times.
What if we do 24 minutes of Babylon? What if that's our first Patreon thing? We just do 24-minute blocks. I think
incredible.
We might have stumbled onto something, but no, this trailer looks cool. Who I assume is our protagonist, at the beginning talks about it's my mom's day of remembrance, something along those lines. So it's kind of, assumed that when she crosses over to things in the past or the other side, that she's going to visit her mom. And then we just don't know that, they put the rules at the beginning, if you open the door, you got to close the door kind of thing. I'm probably butchering exactly what it is, but essentially it's kind of what it is. Like you've got to you got to close everything before you come back. And it's just kind of, I don't know. It makes it look like that's maybe not what happens here. She even kind of mentions it. It gave me the storyline, gave me like the smallest kind of hint of like Inception of Leo, like trying to go back to like visit his wife and kids and stuff like that. Just like, how much are you willing to like go back, you know, and sacrifice what's happening right now for back then? But this one just looks so much more fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about it, I'll revisit this analogy and kind of see how it still works.
Yeah, see if it holds true. I mean, I think you're totally right on the storyline. It looks quite scary, and you know, I think it's right up A24's alley. So this is good. Yeah. I think A24 is just kind of cooking right now and feeling good about what they're putting out. And I will say I do love a good horror movie that even in the trailer just outlines the rules, flat, plain, simple. We have this hand. You're going to go into some spirit world, but you got to close the door and you only have 90 seconds. And it's like, sick. So we're going to break some rules. And like, I always like that. I think that's just like a really easy, good setup, and it's effective. And I think it's great. So, July 28th, this comes out in theaters. Okay. Be on the lookout for that. We're going to be covering it. It's going to be absolutely scary. So, that'll be cool.
Wait, hold on. When is Barbie and Oppenheimer, or what we're now calling Barbenheimer, when does that come out?
Dude, you got to trademark that before you throw it out into the public. You know, you gotta say this is
put it out there now. This is like now it's in the public out there. I am staking claim in the phrase Barbenheimer.
You did it.
But when do those come out? Is it July 21st? So we'll be watching that double feature, and then the week later we'll be just destroying our brains with this movie. I'm excited.
Quite honestly, July shaping up to be
Mission
a
Impossible,
cinematic month, dude. Yeah.
It's going to be intense.
Off the hinges stuff. That's going to be really, really good. I'm just going to be, abandoning my family and to go live in a movie theater for a month. Let's talk about Beef. We're going to talk 6 through 10. We're going to break each episode down. We're going to talk about some true cinema moments. Then we've got some really fun A1 acts that we're going to cap the episode with. We're going to revisit one that we did last week in Netflix original shows, see if Beef maybe took some of those spots that we mentioned. But before we talk about that, let's just talk about some very interesting Emmy implications that actually just came out today. So it appears that Netflix will be submitting Beef as a limited series in the Emmys. I believe nominations close in like a week or two. I'm not as tight with the Emmys as I am with the Oscars, but it appears they're going the limited series route. I assume that they're going to go for Ali Wong for lead actress in a limited series, and then same thing with Steven Yeun. They feel like they have the best shot at winning some Emmys here. How are you feeling about that? Because a limited series kind of implies that we're possibly not getting another season, even though the creator, Lee Sung-jin, has come out and said, I've got at least 2 more seasons planned out storyline-wise. And so Netflix just has to greenlight it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious what they would be up against. Like, I don't know what the other limited series are. I should probably check in with our buddy Clayton. But
I think White Lotus was one for like seasons 1 and 2. So I think that's kind of like an example of like originally limited series, then got extended. So it's kind of like this category, you know, quote unquote fraud that happens at the Oscars.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of independent series or something, or seasons, you know. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But I think both of their performances are really, really strong. Steven Yeun, we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, and I think Ali Wong did great. So, but you know, they're up against some tough competition, even just by mentioning White Lotus. So we'll see what happens, but obviously, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really curious to see if this does not get another season, I guess. I assume. I mean, it's got like 33 million hours of view time logged in the first week. It's been in the Netflix top 10 every single day. It is doing some serious numbers, and the reviews are exceptionally positive. Yeah. So I'd be really startled if this did not get picked up for a season 2. Again, that is, you know, is the storyline there? Does it work better as a one-time kind of limited series? I'm curious your thoughts as we kind of go through these episodes here and see where we fall in the finale.
Let's talk about it after we talk about all these, because we'll see about where maybe it could be going.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's start with episode 6. This is called We Draw a Magic Circle. You asked last week, Ben, did Fumi listen to George and Amy having sex? We pretty much got confirmation, right? Or did I misinterpret that?
Paul and Amy, right? Like,
sorry.
brother.
Yeah. Paul and Amy having sex, right. It sounds to me like she confirmed it. And so I want you to feel validated, you know?
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's all I needed. So I'm signing off here. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you later, but that's all I needed. Yeah, I mean, I was curious about it. It was cool that they addressed it because I was kind of fine either way, but obviously it led to some of the way Fumi reacted or acted, I guess, throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, and episode 6 definitely does a good job, obviously, of picking up where episode 5 left off, and the way that we have split it here on the podcast, 6 through 10. Really, that like exponential off the tracks kind of energy is really heavy in 6 through 10. 1 through 5, great setup, and you start to feel that energy and that tension with how things end. Fumi getting in the ambulance and her house getting robbed, and or George's house getting robbed, and these things happening. But these episodes are very elevated. Did you feel that like really abrupt pace change, especially when you get to like 8, 9, and 10?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, we'll talk about it when we get to 10, but there were moments in there, and I may have made this analogy before with something else, but I was watching this, I'm like, oh, this is the fucking Fast and the Furious franchise. Like, they went from stealing DVDs to like going to space, and it's like, this was just like a horn honking, It's just like, hey, you're an asshole, to now it's just like, what is happening, in episode 10, it's like people are being shot with like automatic rifles, and like there's smoke bombs, and there's like panic rooms, all this shit. It's like, what? This was all just because someone backed up too early? Like, that's crazy that it like led to this. I was like, yeah, this is fucking Fast and Furious. That's what we're watching right now. But I mean, as a compliment, like, it was just like, it escalated, and I really think they just hit the fucking gas like around 6 or 7. It's like, we're taking off now.
I really think that's something that works very well with this show, and I think that's why audiences and critics alike are really resonating with it, is because there's no way that you could watch even episode 6 and be like, oh yeah, I know where we're going with 10. Yeah. And that is what has caught everybody off guard and really sucked everybody in, you and I included, is like, this got so out of hand, and it goes to show like the straw that breaks the camel's back, like, you just never know, and you just don't know this. And we'll talk about it in episode 10, but we just like don't know people's personal traumas, and like they're just longing to be seen. And I think a lot of that is really well articulated. Let me finish up what is in episode 6. So George cuts it off with Mia because he thought his mom suspected something. Naomi does confront Amy about the road rage. I got really nervous during this scene.
Yeah.
But she gets everything right. And Amy is kind of panicking a little bit. And then she goes, and you're having an affair with Danny. And Amy just loses her mind, laughs it off, and Naomi is just made to look like a complete idiot. Yeah. And quite honestly, like, Amy escaped death at that moment, because if Naomi did not say that, there's no out at that moment,
Yeah, it was a good call on her part too to drug Fumi and just have her pass out on the couch, because that they would have been able to corroborate their stories. I think that worked out really well. Yeah,
she had that planned a little bit. We've got Danny jacking off to the pic of Amy's butt, and then she calls him, and he takes that picture from Paul's phone while Paul is sleeping. So, like, that's a whole thing. And, like, that gets followed up a little bit later as well. And then kind of the episode ends with Danny and Amy meeting. They agree on $25K. Amy's going to pay Danny $25K, call in the anonymous tip line, and basically say, like, it was me, I did it, like, we can end this whole mess. Instead, he rats on his cousin Isaac and says Isaac was driving the car. Isaac gets imprisoned. Danny goes on to win the church basketball tournament. All the chips fall for Danny, man.
It's everything's coming up Danny right now. Like, it's the way, we'll talk about the way we pick up in episode 7. It's like, everything is really just like going great for him. So that was a real interesting ending, which is like, okay. I mean, obviously we know there's still 4 more episodes, but when it happens, like, I guess this could be an ending where he's like, all right, I'll take the fall for $25K. We'll be good. Let's end it. So
I really love that. And, we talked about this last week about like the montage, right? Like, I think we both picked the end of episode 3, that montage of all of our characters sitting in their decisions, and we get that. And that really hits home. We get another montage here in this episode, 3 episodes later. And I believe his name is Edwin, the pastor of the church.
Yeah.
Absolutely freaking the fuck out and just losing his mind that
so
Danny
good.
is just draining buckets left and right.
He
And
just loses his shit in front of his whole congregation. And I think everyone's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah.
It's crazy. And then, and then we see Isaac go to prison. And that scene, I just want to call it that, like, interaction between Danny and Isaac, because we are thrown into it very abruptly, as if we are kind of in Isaac's position of like, Danny, what the hell? Like, you fucked me over. And Danny just plays it so, like, kind of dickish, where he's just like, oh, wow, really? Like, what happened? I had no idea. And all of that takes place immediately after Isaac shows Danny his secret stash of cash in the Kelly Clarkson's and Rice Makers, man.
Yeah. Yep. Since you've been gone, it's just, what do you call it, the best song of the 21st century or something like that?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can make that argument for sure.
You can. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was done really, really well. And I think that was a big shocker and a big kind of trajectory point for the final 4 episodes, where you're like, wow, we are going places now. Things are getting really out of hand. Any other thoughts on 6 before I move on to 7?
No, I mean, it's just us going to get more and more crazy as we go.
More and more. Okay, episode 7. I Am a Cage. I wrote down in my notes, I think episode 7 is really kind of what clicked for me about this really underlying tone or theme of, the search for what makes us feel loved, right? Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it spiritual? We see all of these things taking place through Danny and Amy. And that, at the end of the day, is kind of like this big theme. And we get there in 10, right? Of like, how do these characters feel the love that they need? How do they feel seen? And all of these things. How did you feel, Ben, about the very abrupt Avengers Infinity War style 8 months later? Just out of the blue, we're 8 months later.
I mean, I dug it because I think just kind of spoke to, again, like how much things were falling into Danny's lap. Like everything was going great for him. Like there was no issues at all. I mean, sometimes a time jump can be a cop out, or just like, oh, this is frustrating. I want to know what happened over that. But I think this one, it made sense to kind of like, let's just move this story along, because now we're going to pick up when things get, really crazy here. You assume that, we kick off with him like leading the church.
Yeah. Worship
like
group.
the pastor is just like sitting in the back, singing along. It's like, oh, he has really just swapped roles with it. Cause like that's who he wanted to not necessarily be, that person, but he obviously wanted to be with his wife. Like that's like his first love or whatever. It's like, in a way, he got to fill those shoes that he had been like coveting this whole time. And it's just like, man, I did not see that coming at all.
No, complete shock. Can I sidebar for just a second? Speaking of time jumps, news did come out that Euphoria season 3 is going to begin shooting, and there is potential that it will include a 5-year time jump. I got to be honest, I'm on the rocks about Euphoria as a whole. Bad idea. 5-year time jump, not ideal in my books. I want to know your take.
I mean, are we going to community college? Like none of those kids are going anywhere, right? You know what I mean? Like they don't give a shit about school. Not to say they're dumb. It's just like we never see them like focus on school at all. Mm-hmm. And like no one, outside of like Maude Apatow's character, none of them really like seem to be trying to achieve anything, out after high school. So it's like, what's going to happen? Are they just like all chilling in the same town? Or again, is this going to become like community where they're all just like in community college together? I don't know, but it seems like a weird thing. But at the same time, you don't want it to be like Grease 2 where they're 40 years old and like in high school still, so it's like, it makes sense to move on, but I'm just curious how it's going to still tie together.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'll give it a shot, but my thoughts on Euphoria are not very hidden on this pod, at least.
Yeah.
Quite candid. Okay, so we got the 8 months later. Danny's singing in church. Amy's got a vacation home. Danny built his parents' home that he wanted to for so long. He was really trying, and you mentioned like it's coming up all Danny, man. And I think that's really a good insight that I had not realized before. Is like we can skip these 8 months because it's just all Danny having success.
Yeah,
that's literally why we get to do that. other bullet points of the episode, George confesses his quote unquote emotional engagement to Mia, to Amy. So we get that kind of moment there. Edwin talks about quote construction with Danny. That was like a true definitive swap of roles. Like, Edwin's really grasping for like this, I'll do whatever it takes, man. I'll sell whatever you need, this underground shit. And like, he just kind of was a really changed person in that moment. I was a little like, oh, damn, this guy, too bad, man.
Yeah. How did you take Danny giving him one of those cookers? Like, I kind of saw it as like, is there money still in there? And he's giving it to him. It's like, listen, you can't get in on what we're doing, but just keep your mouth shut with this. Is that how you read that too? Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. I took it as like, we're not bringing you in. We can't afford that. That's too high risk for sure. But here, take a cooker. I'll get you whatever, 10 G's probably in there, something substantial.
Yeah.
And here, have this. I know what you need, and this is what you need. And obviously Edwin doesn't pick up on that and doesn't understand like what that gesture means, but only we do. So I think that's
cool.
Very, very keen. Danny shows up to George's art show where Amy is doing a little stalking action here.
Yeah.
Jordan and Naomi engaged out of left field. We're just getting some real left fielders here.
That was another one that really caught me off guard. It's like, oh, okay. I did not know that this was happening. So it's their dynamic though to see, especially like in episode 10 it's fun to see what their dynamic is all about.
Yeah. And it's great. Cause like at that moment you're like, why? Like, why do we even need this? Why do we need the storyline? And then you get to 10 and you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Or like not, you get to the end of 9 really. And it tracks. Danny realizes that it's Amy's butt in the picture. He puts together that 22 tattoo, which we'll talk about when we get to episode 10. Kind of has a panic. We get a nice little Leo, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood moment where Danny is talking to Paul and he says, I met up with her to end our beef. And I feel like that's the first time they said beef in the episode, man.
Yeah, no, that was really good. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that should have been one of our A1 acts when you say the title in the show. That'd have been good. But
that would have been a good one.
It definitely was one of those things like, oh, beef. There it is. Got it.
We did it. We got it. Paul, and this is where, again, things just really get unhinged from here. Paul shows up at George's house because Amy is gone, shows up at George's house and is like, yo, are you George? He's like, yeah. And he's like, cool, I fucked your wife. I have receipts and texts. See you later.
See ya. It's insane.
The balls on Paul, man. I can't even fathom putting myself in that position where it's just like, yeah, I fucked your wife. See you later.
It's like, yeah, it's crazy how, I mean, I know this is the show, but like how so many decisions just by one person, like one thing. It's like, oh, you guys were so close to just like getting away with all this and everything being fine. And then something happened. It's like, no, dude, you fucked it up. Like you should not have done that. Like, and that was definitely one of those. And Dan even says like, why'd you do this? Like you told me to, what was it, like, be more honest or whatever. Like, it's like, well, not everything. But yeah, that was quite the scene to watch. Cause we're just watching it on Amy's phone through like her
the
Ring app or whatever, you know, she just has to sit there and watch it happen. And that's just like, oh my God, like, what do you do? Because you can't talk. You just have to pretend you didn't see it, you know, but you definitely just heard everything happen. It's like, holy fuck, that was intense. Yeah.
And really that's the moment where you're just like, cool, it's all crumbling. Like we're done. This is all going to hell and it's all going to shit after this because there's just no way you there's just no way you talk your way out of that if you're Amy. We get one more scene in this episode that we finish with Amy, which question mark at the time. We know now it is not Amy, but I personally, I don't know about you, I was led to believe it was Amy. Burns down Danny's new house for his parents. And then we see Amy eating Burger King, eating the original chicken sandwich. They've swapped, right? And like their lives have totally 180'd. And this is the episode that I texted you and I was like, just finished 7. Just cried, dude. Have fun.
Yeah. It was. And I think I counted that she had like 4 of those sandwiches on her tray too, you know, but like, yeah, they definitely let us believe like, oh yeah, she did this, which would make total sense, you know, given what Paul just did. So it was a great ending. And again, like just another version of like, all right, we're ramping it up, you know, here we go. Like we left off 6 here. We were leaving off 7 here. We got 3 left.
Here we go. Yeah. Things are out of control. Any other thoughts on 7?
No. I mean,
yeah,
we could talk about it forever, but like, I'm just excited to get to 10.
Yeah, I think that was the first episode where I cried and I was just like, oh my God, like we got here. This is, I mean, this is terrible for these people. Okay. Episode 8 is called The Drama of Original Choice. I think this is my favorite episode title because it is so meaningful in context with like the show. Probably the most startling open to the show, I would say. Most startling cold open. We get Amy having sex with some random old white guy at a hotel. She's like under the covers and under the blankets. And then she looks at her reflection in the mirror and it's like a demon, a witch. Like, what did you think it was?
I mean, at the time, I didn't know what it was. Like, is that the Babadook? Like, what are we looking at right now? You know, like I had no idea. But later on, when we learned that, you know, it's the woman from that book, I'm like, oh, I remember reading that book. Like, that was insane to see that. So, yeah, at the time, though, it's like, is this like I don't know what it was. I genuinely had no idea.
Yeah, and this is kind of the first time we get this new editing style into this kind of like very personal life of Amy, or like what's going on in her head. This episode also incorporates a lot of flashbacks. How did you feel about the flashbacks? Because we get both Amy and Danny.
I love a flashback. Like, I thought it was great, man. I'm here for a flashback. I think they worked really well. I think it's necessary with these people because, I mean, the premise of the show is they're just like angry, and and it's all about learning why. You know, like they're angry for different reasons. So these flashbacks work great because we get to, you know, get to their core and find out about stuff. Like, as someone that's been in therapy, and I think a lot of people who've been in therapy will relate, but everything goes back to your fucking childhood, you know. It's just like that's where it all starts, you know. So like, I think these flashbacks are great. It's like, yeah, that's like probably when it started and why she treats relationships the way she does and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was very effective for sure.
Look, you speak to therapy. I had my therapy session this afternoon. Guess what? Childhood trauma, man. We're talking about it.
That's how it goes. That's it.
Very, very real. I really enjoyed the editing style of this too. Like, we intermixed like the current and then move and then kind of like swooshed the camera to the flashback in the same type of setting, which I thought was really neat and really
reminded me a lot of like, I feel like a lot of stage plays will do that, you know, where it's just like someone comes in and then it's like supposed to be a flashback. Like, oh, that's cool. That is just like they walk through the scene and now we're showing what they were just talking about, kind of thing. And I thought, yeah, it was so well done. Very cool.
Can you talk real quick to the cinematographer of this show? Because I know this is something we wanted to talk about. Same person that did Everything Everywhere All at Once, Swiss Army Man, This Is America, Childish Gambino, music video. I mean, this is certified beautiful stuff here.
Larkin Seiple, I want to say Seiple. I'm sorry if I'm, you know, pronouncing that wrong, but cinematographer, as you said, like just worked on some amazing stuff. As we talked about, you know, Everything Everywhere and Swiss Army Man, you all heard me just talk so much about the Turn Down for What video. So to know that he was behind that, This Is America, which is like probably just one of the greatest recent music videos of all time, like very, very interesting. But yeah, I mean, just it happens a lot, I think, with people where there's like they come up through music videos and then like kind of go into the feature films, and he's another one. He's worked with a lot of great artists, Arcade Fire. I mean, I don't know, there's just a lot to go through here, but his style is so amazing, and to know that he worked with the Daniels and kind of brought whatever that experience was, because I assume he had finished like Everything Everywhere by the time this happened. But just, I don't know, everyone's got their different styles, and this, obviously there's no story like Everything Everywhere, but you can't help but probably take some of that with you and like, oh, maybe we can like turn the camera this way kind of thing. And that's just, everything is just building up. So fantastic cinematographer. It'd be wonderful to talk to him someday. So we'll see, you know, fingers maybe crossed if that happens, but a lot of great stuff. I'm excited for his next movie. I don't know if you looked into that or not. It's called Wolves, and WOLFS, not VES, but with Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Whoa.
Amy Ryan, and Austin Abrams, who I believe was he in Euphoria? I don't know. He was in something. Yeah, he's in Euphoria. He's Ethan. He's like the theater kid.
That's my guy. Let's go.
Written and directed by John Watts from the Spider-Man MCU trilogy. So that's his next project.
We're cooking.
I can't wait. It's going to be so good. So yeah, he's awesome. He worked on, have you heard of the movie Far From Home? I don't know if you've heard of that at all. But
I heard Jake Gyllenhaal was in that. You know, little guy, little actor, needs some attention though.
Yeah, his sister's the better actor for sure. But yeah, it looked like he also helped shoot that. He was down for additional photography on that movie. So
I rest my case in Far From Home being maybe not the best now that No Way Home is out, but being a really good Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, if it's leading to him working with John Watts now on this like Brad Pitt, George Clooney, which is always a slam dunk. So I'm excited.
Ever since you got me to watch Michael Clayton, anytime I hear George Clooney or think about George Clooney, I'm just like, cool, Michael Clayton 2? When?
Yep,
like, when are we getting this?
Let's make it happen. Tilda, what's happening? Let's go.
We need more movies like Michael Clayton. Okay. Yeah. Back to episode 8. So we get this 2001 Amy flashback. This is the first time we see a flashback. She sees her dad cheating on her mom, bringing a woman home, and that obviously initially leads to this perception of, you know, it's probably okay to cheat on your significant other. We get more time spent with this witch character, this fabled character, and a young Amy is talking to her and basically saying like, you know, will you tell anybody that I ate all these chocolates? I think it is. And the witch says, I can't tell anyone your secrets because no one would love you. And I just burst. That was it, man. Super simple line, but so goddamn powerful.
So effective. And I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about some in the first 5 episodes, but some of the dialogue in this show is just like, oh my God, like it is so good. And that was another one, like possibly the best line of the second half here. Definitely just hit really hard.
Yeah. And they take these really simple one lines and they just like drop your heart 1,000 feet off a building.
Seriously.
Which is crazy. Discussion with George that ends in him wanting a divorce. And that this is where we really start to see the effects of things start to crumble. Edwin is jealous of Danny. We get this very interesting garage scene where Danny is kind of breaking in to Edwin's home, and we learn that Veronica never got over Danny, which I think is a very insightful, if not like overlooked scene of this series as a whole. But it really goes to show these secrets that people do hold on to and what might cause trauma down the road. I do think it's very fascinating that, like, you know, Veronica has a kid and a husband that was a leader at the church, and all of these check boxes of like what makes you happy. And again, another core theme to this show is like, why can't we ever be happy? Why can't we be happy? So I liked this scene. I don't know if you had any thoughts on this scene.
No, I thought it was great because I think it also gave us an insight to Edwin, because we've seen some in the other episodes where he obviously like knows of Danny. Like he was kind of uncomfortable the whole time with Danny, which is a weird position to be in when you're leading like a prayer group, a church group. But you know, like sometimes you like linger a little long. They'd be like, hey, we could get us some drinks or something, you know, like that kind of a thing. So to hear him say that, it's just like, oh, that's like gnarly to have to deal with, to know that like in another world, like your wife would have ended up with this dude, and now this dude has come into your life and taken over like your job and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Just like, oh, I can't imagine dealing with that.
Ugh, crazy. Okay, a couple more points to this episode. Danny's faulty wiring caused the house. I think this is really important in terms of Danny. It just feels like every single episode there is a lie or a reality that he just can't come to grips with. And this is a huge one where Paul kind of asks like, what's going on? What happened? And Danny tells him it was Amy, and he just like can't come to that reality.
Yeah.
The Danny flashback I wanted to mention is the 2008 flashback when he throws away Paul's college applications. Again, just like made me tear up on the spot. That combined with the song that they play at the end, the needle drops on this show are just immaculate and really quite a benefit when you talk about this whole like movie versus TV situation. This is how you use an episodic television show and hammer home like the emotional bullet points. And then Danny fights George over a gun and drives away with June in the truck without knowing that June is in the truck. Whole different level of like, holy shit, this is going down.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, he got away with it. He's taking the truck, he's driving off. And then we just have like, I think it's just like camera pan or whatever to like look in the back of the truck. It's like, oh shit, what's he going to do now? He can't go back because the cops are on the way. Like,
yep.
And what do you do? Like one of the best, like probably the best cliffhanger, I think, of the show as far as like the best ending to an episode. So that was solid.
100%. Yeah, really solid episode 8. Okay, episode 9, The Great Fabricator. Another really good title, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, Isaac's out of prison. He's saying he's going to kill Danny, and he gets let out of prison. He rats on his cellmate, which I think is really interesting because, like, Isaac just turns out he's just like a piece of shit guy, and in any situation he's in, it's always about him. Shows up at Danny's door, just punches him in the fucking face. Just high intensity from the start.
And uses the friends as the cover too to get them to
like
open it up. Yeah. And it's so funny too, like when he rats
blow
on his cellmate because like, you know, he's talking about how he's going to kill his cousin and all of a sudden he's free. And the guy's like, he's going to go kill his cousin. He's like, he has a nutter butter. It's just like, it's not the same thing at all, but it's just like totally rats him out. I love it so much.
Yeah. Zero question though. He just doesn't even hesitate.
No,
he's just like, yeah, guy's got a nutter butter. Okay. Uses his friends as the cover to knock him out. Michael and Isaac breaking into Jordan's very, very nice estate. So Michael is one of Isaac's friends, the funny guy I mentioned last pod, the redheaded dude, breaks into Jordan's really nice house in Dick Cheney masks, Point Break style. I feel like you really like this scene.
Oh yeah, I was all for it. I was waiting for like, I'm not a crook. I was waiting for that to happen. But I mean, leading up to this was so cool because that's when Edwin calls Amy. It's like, your kid's fine. Like, just so you know, she's safe. She's like, okay, great. It's like, I want $500,000. You know, she's like, I don't,
unreal.
I can't give $500,000. I don't know where you get that cash right now. All that stuff.
I think banks are closed today. I think she said.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so then she brings up like, I met a, you know, do you know this person? She's very famous. She has like tons of statues and stuff worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like,
easy.
Yeah, it's like, if you come here, you can like loot the place, just bring my daughter, make her safe, whatever. And so that's how they end up there because like the address is super secret. So it's real interesting to see how all that played out of just like, yeah, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't like give up this rich person's house if it meant, you know, keeping your kids safe? Like, this person has insurance, they'll be fine. Like, I just want my kids. So this was a great episode for the example of like, oh, if you just hadn't done that thing, like you guys would be fine. Like, it's just like someone doing just like a little too much. It's like, no, man, like, don't do that.
Yeah, you would have made it. You would have been okay. It's really an interesting delineation as well on like the very selfish decision making because obviously anybody in this situation would do the same. But again, it's rooted in the very same cause of like, how do I care for myself? How do I make the decision for myself? What do I want? Then I think we probably get what I consider the most shocking moment of the series is when Naomi makes a run for the panic room, and you can hear Naomi and Jordan kind of like talking about it. Like, what is the panic room made? Like, when are we going to get there? How can we got to look for our opportunity. At this point, Danny and Paul are locked outside somewhere. Yeah. And they're looting the place, and Naomi makes a run for the fucking panic room and gets there before Jordan, and Michael is chasing Jordan right on her tail down the down the hallway, and Naomi has to make the decision and closes the panic room early and just fucking tears Jordan's body in two.
It's insane, man. And like, we don't even like
crazy.
We don't see anything like at all, but we just see this door like continue to try and close.
And the crunch that we hear.
Oh, the crunch. It's like, you know, like an elevator, something's jammed in the elevator door. Like, we keep seeing that. But then at the end, it just like, it closes all the way and you realize what that means. It's like, oh my God, it like chopped her in half. Like, that's insane. This is crazy. And Naomi just had to sit there and watch it happen. And honestly, so did Michael. Like, he's not like a killer, you know what I mean? Like, but that was another example of like, you know, they're talking about the panic room. Amy's like, nope, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, like, don't do that, because she knows like, just let these guys take their shit. They'll leave.
Let them go.
My kid will be fine. Whatever. We're okay. But obviously Naomi and Jordan don't know that. And so like, we have to go to the panic room. And so it just sets off this domino effect of just chaos.
I hate to say it, but it all roots back again. Do you trust somebody else to make a decision, or do you make a selfish decision for yourself? And Naomi does it and fucking smashes Jordan's body in half. That is the craziest thing. I had no clue. I think episode 9 is definitely the point where you're like, I don't know how we got here. How did we start episode 1 with the honk, and how did we get to this moment? And I think that's what's so unique about this show.
I think it was like the chopping of the panic room door. Then I was like, oh, this is Fast and Furious. This is fucking
full
nuts.
on.
Like, someone tried to back out too early, and now we just watched a woman get chopped in half from her own panic room door. Like, what is going on?
Oh, man. A couple more bullet points for this episode. Danny tells Paul the truth about throwing away the college applications. Again, pivotal moment, brink of tears for me. Like, we go from this moment of Jordan dying, and then the police showing up and raiding everything and shooting Michael like against the window. Like, Danny and Paul see that go down, and then tries to get Paul over this big barrier in the backyard. And while he's on the top, reaching for Danny, he's basically like, you need to go. Like, when you are around me, things are only bad for you. Like, I am a disease. I am a virus. And I think that's really a big emotional pivot for Danny. Obviously, we are under the impression that Paul dies. We hear gunshots, and Danny thinks Paul dies as well. George left earlier with June. That's all we know about George and June. And then Danny and Amy are driving away in their cars. We get these lyrics from the song singing "All is full of love," and they just drive off the fucking cliff into the bottom of the desert.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, we talked about cinematography earlier, and to go back, to that, right after the panic room closes, we get like this fog that comes in through the whole house. So, but then it looks great because like when the cops show up, they have their flashlights on their guns. We're just like a lot of great stylistic choices there.
Very John Wick. It felt good.
I just kept thinking Amy was going to get shot because she's just like still in that room with them. And it's like, what do you do? I have no idea. But obviously she was fine. But that was cool. Them like racing each other, just again like bookending it to be like, oh, cool, this is happening again. They're racing each other. And then just like the flip off and taking the attention off of the road. And then all of a sudden, like we just go off the road. It's like, oh my God. But this was like the most intense episode for sure.
Definitely agree. I mean, a penultimate episode done correctly, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 10, Figures of Light. This entire episode essentially follows Danny and Amy as they're in the desert, really coming to terms and grips of understanding each other and how they got to be here, much like we as the audience are. It opens with a conversation between crows. How did you feel about that?
Listen, as an Incubus fan, one of my favorite albums of theirs is called The Crow Left with the Murder. Because I don't know if people know that, but a group of crows is called a murder of crows, which I think is great. So it was super cool to see that. And I thought it was rad. I like them talking to each other. It reminded me of the Rocks, basically, from Everything Everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It reminded me of Maniac. I mentioned Maniac last week here on the pod. Of like at the end of that show, Jonah Hill turns into an eagle or a hawk, and is like yells down and is like, "Annie, I'm a hawk," and it's like, this is the craziest, weirdest thing, but it's so good.
Yeah.
And they essentially the crows wage war on Amy, and they're like, Danny raised me. Let's talk to our crow friends and see if we attack Amy. Danny pushes Amy down a hill. These are just a couple of the moments I really wanted to call out. He yells at Amy after he does this, and he says, "Why'd you make me do that?" I think that is really, really telling, and a big insight into like, we're having this big emotional revelation in episode 10 of like, nothing that I do, I put on myself. I do not put that responsibility on me.
Yeah.
I believe this person made me do this. It stems back to episode 1. Why did you make me follow you? Why did you make me want to see your face? Why did you make me feel this road rage? I think moments like that are just really, really pivotal. Danny carries her to try to like escape. And so like we're getting this rekindling a little bit. And then they eat the wrong berries. Would you, in this situation, how confident would you, Ben Longhorn, feel about like picking some wild berries and eating them for sustenance? What's your what are you thinking like poison to non-poison ratio here?
like as a Eagle Scout, I think I know that there's too much shit out there that could kill you. That I'm just like, listen, the aloe vera, like the agave and the aloe vera, or whatever they talked about, like eat that shit all day. You know, like hopefully that would sustain you. The berries, just like that's got to be a last straw. You know what I mean? So it's like don't dig into those right away. Like let the agave like do what it needs to do. That was just like, oh, that was so gnarly.
It was wild. I don't think that I could do it. I think I'd like to think that I could and be like, oh yeah, these berries, like I saw them one time on like, you know, this Bear Grylls show and I'm pretty sure they're the same berries. But I would absolutely not. I'd be in the same situation.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I second guess stuff to restaurants that I've been to like hundreds of times, and it's like there's no way I'd be like, oh yeah, I totally know these berries are safe. Like, no, I have no clue. Like, I'm not going to eat these.
Absolutely not. They eat the wrong berries. They throw up. Amy starts hallucinating these conversations with Danny. Again, I want to call it the editing in this episode. Truly fantastic stuff of like, you don't know what is reality and what is a hallucination, and we get all of these things start to happen where she's like hallucinating that she's holding a gun, and Danny's hallucinating that he's talking to Amy laying down, but it's really a log.
Yeah.
And we get these really cool reveals. And then we kind of get this ending scene where they swap voices, they swap bodies, they swap who they are. And Danny, as Amy, says to Amy, I see your life, you poor thing. And then Amy talking as Paul, or talking about Paul, I guess, a little bit before this says, I think he just wanted to feel seen. We all do. I think there's some really, really pivotal, you know, quotes and sentences in this show. What did you think of them doing this like personality, like kind of swap?
I thought it was very effective. You know, it's like, I don't know that I've ever been like in that same frame of mind, but I can see how someone could get there. It's just like you're talking to someone, but you're just like so out of it. It did have one of my favorite moments though, when, you know, Danny's talking to Amy and then like he sees someone to the left, like coming to rescue them. And just like very mellow. He's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is great. You know? And then like it goes from being blurry to just like going in focus, and it's Amy who's walking back. She's like, thank you for what? He like, she has no idea what he's talking about. And then that's like, I think when he looks over, he's like, oh, that wasn't her laying there. Like I thought that played so well. I really enjoyed that so much.
Definitely agree. They find their way out. They're in a tunnel. Danny's carrying Amy, basically, you know, kind of over the shoulder. They get service. They realize Paul is still alive. Absolutely heart-wrenching moment when he's like, I'm fucking blocking you, bitch, or like whatever he says, where it's just like the meanest thing, but you're like, God damn it, like he's alive. This is incredible. All these people looking for Amy, all of these things. George finds them in this tunnel, cannot make out who Amy is with. Danny's kind of just a shadow, shoots at Danny with a gun. And then the next thing, we kind of cut to black. The next thing we get is Danny in a hospital bed on a respirator. Amy decides to cuddle up next to him. We get that for like a minute, and we get this incredible song that sings June is like one of the lyrics, and it's very powerful. And you see Danny's hand kind of move and start to envelop around Amy, and then we cut to black. This show is fucking beautiful, man.
Dude, the lighting sequence on that final shot was so cool. Like we're slowly pulling back, you know, like bird's eye view. We're slowly pulling back from the bed. And at first it's kind of done just to show like a time lapse, you know, like we could stay in the night and then day and then night. But then we just get like these weird colors and stuff that are happening and all that, you know, just kind of this beautiful chaos. And like you said, like at the very last minute, like he moves his arm and then we cut to black. It's like, oh fuck. Okay. And yeah, so this is like where, you know, when he talks about he has like 2 more seasons in his mind, it's like, all right, I am kind of curious, you know, like I think this could really fit well. It's just like a 1 season thing, but like, where do they go from here? Because these are the perfect example of people who like you have more in common than you don't. Like you guys could get along, but like, can you function together? You know, like they're both very just like reactionary people. Like they're not someone who's gonna like stop and think. They're just like, I'm mad at you, I'm gonna honk at you. Like I'm, you know, whatever. But now they've like shared all these experiences and stuff. It's like, I don't know. But I'm curious to see what Beef 2 Electric Boogaloo would be all about.
Has to be titled that. If there is not an episode titled Electric Boogaloo in season 2, we failed as a society.
Failed. Yeah, exactly.
I personally am always a fan of shows ending before they really kind of overstay their welcome. I know we're only talking about a season 2 here, and I loved it so much. I'm totally game for a second, but I feel like as a compressed, single project, I think one season is just gorgeous. I think it tells the story that we wanted to tell, and whatever happens to Amy and Danny after this is kind of up to our imaginations, right? Do they spend time together? Do they start to do life together? Do they realize that, can their anger help one another? I think those are genuinely curious questions that are worth exploring, but I don't know if a season 2 is needed. I'm really curious to see what happens with this. We probably won't hear about a green light until after the Emmys, would be my guess, since they're competing for limited series. Do you have any additional thoughts before I quickly run through True Cinema and we choose a moment?
No, let's do it. Let's go through it.
All right, I'm gonna blow through these, man. Episode 6, Danny and Paul playing Nerf in the house. They're playing a little Nerf horse. Thought that was pretty fun. Episode 6, Isaac in prison and Danny winning the basketball tournament montage. We talked about that. Episode 7, Paul shows up to George's house and says, "I fucked your wife." Big balls, Paul. Crazy stuff. Episode 8, discussion with George ending in him wanting a divorce. I wanted to put this on here because we sit with it. We internalize it. We digest it the same way that Amy does, and that makes that moment so powerful and so beautiful. Episode 8, that 2008 Danny flashback when he steals Paul's college applications, throws them in the trash. Episode 9, Michael and Isaac breaking into Jordan's in the Dick Cheney masks, Point Break style. Pretty cool moment, honestly.
Yeah.
Episode 9, Danny tells Paul the truth about throwing away the college applications. Last one for episode 9, driving away in the cars to the lyrics, "All is full of love," and then they drive off the cliff. Episode 10, eating the wrong berries, throwing up, and then Amy is hallucinating the conversations with Danny is really kind of funny. There is a moment in there where Danny is like, what even are chemicals? What is poison?
Yeah,
and you can just tell they're just losing their minds. Episode 10, conversation about baby love with fading editing and a peaceful score. I think that moment is really, really fascinating. They dissect, babies don't love unconditionally. And it really comes back to that theme of like, if you tell someone your secrets, you will not be loved. This very conditional love that, is a big childhood trauma. And even in children, like you can realize it's not conditional, right? So if I give you this lollipop, then you give me a hug type. I think they kind of use as example. And then the very final moment of episode 10, Amy cuddling up to Danny in the hospital bed. He puts his arm around her, and then we cut to black, and it is the end of the magnificent show of beef.
Yeah.
What are you going with for True Cinema, Ben?
I really love the Nerf horse, like the basketball horse. Like I used to do that with my buddy Brett, and it's just like the most random stuff, like just like they were doing there. It's like
I think Paul has a shot where it's like called the break-in, and he like busts through the door.
It's so good, like pushing off the wall and the chair and stuff like that. Like that stuff was really fun to see. I don't know if you picked up on it, but there's one part when they're like hallucinating, but the surroundings are a lot like Midsommar after they take the mushrooms. Like stuff is kind of like just like waving and it was really cool. It's got this
very like the kind of the Black Panther like into the Great Beyond situation where everything's a little movement.
It was cool. But I have to go with that final shot. It feels like a cop out, but I think that was just like one of the best things that this show did was just that final over the bed pull away. So I like that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with something that's not on the list, Ben.
Pulling a Ben.
I'm going to pull a Ben. I'm going to go with it. It is from episode 10, and it is the scene when they essentially swap voices, and they they have these very personal conversations with one another, and I mentioned it, and Danny as Amy saying, "I see your life, you poor thing," and just having that moment of realization and reckoning and recognition is all they wanted. They just wanted to find somebody that saw them for who they were. And I think that scene is just absolutely gorgeous and riveting and really smartly written. And just everything works in that moment for me. And I think that's like the ultimate culmination of where we got is they had to put each other in each other's shoes and like understand their personalities. So that is good. I'm probably just gonna rewatch episode 10 tonight. To be honest with you, it's so good.
There's a shot in there too that I wanted to mention, where it's just like this really wide shot kind of down the canyon.
Yeah,
when they're yelling at each other from across. Yeah, it was so cool just to see them like just such small figures like walking into the frame, and her making her pitch of just like, I know how to get out of here, but I need you to carry me. And then I just loved. He's like, do you have the gun with you? She's like, no, I don't have it. Like, how do I know? He's like, because I'd be shooting you right now. It's like, I don't have the fucking gun. Like, I'd be shooting you. I thought that was just like hilarious. So it was fun to see them kind of like have to use each other to get out of this predicament.
Yeah, it was funny. One last thing I want to mention before we do A1 Act. I saw on Twitter today, someone had mentioned that Amy's bob haircut in the final few episodes, that black bob haircut, looks a lot like Evelyn's from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was like, ooh, I like that.
True.
A24, sticking to the guns,
Very much so. Yeah, I like that.
It was cool. Okay, we did Netflix original shows last week. We had a massive list of things. You and I chose our top threes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Beef has made the cut for me. I chose one for my wife last week. I chose Heartstopper. I've never seen it. She's seen it. She's a big fan. It's getting the axe. Beef is taking the spot, dude. I think Maniac is number 1. Beef number 2. No, I got to reverse. Beef number 1, Maniac number 2, Love, Death, and Robots. That show you've never heard of is number 2.
Yeah. I don't know that right now that it would take you. It'd probably enter the top 5, but I feel pretty good about my top 3. And also it's just the recency issue of like, I've just had so much more time to rewatch these other shows. I've experienced them longer. And this like is just really, really fresh, but it'd probably be in my top 5 now.
I respect that. And, I never like people that are like, this is the best thing I've seen when you saw it like today or yesterday. But fuck it. I'm here. Yeah, I'm doing it. Whatever.
You gotta be yourself.
Gonna be myself, right? Okay. Movies about revenge. Yeah. I think this is a good one. You prompted this one here. I've got a list here, and we'll roll through it and see what we got. Do Revenge. I haven't seen it, but I can only assume it's about revenge if it's in the title. Memento, Taken, The Equalizer, John Wick, Kill Bill, The Handmaiden, Promising Young Woman, The Count of Monte Cristo, Old Boy, Mean Girls, Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, an all-time heater. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. There's a movie called Revenge, probably qualifies. Django Unchained, I Saw the Devil, Carrie, Unforgiven, Cape Fear, Upgrade, Mandy, V for Vendetta, Gladiator, and The Crow. That's what I got on the short list, Ben. Nice. Are you skipping the list?
I thought I was. I didn't see that you put the one on there that I was going to pick. But I am gonna shout it out. It's not going to be my official pick, but if you haven't seen Upgrade, see Upgrade. It is such a good movie. It is like it's Venom, but done really, really well. Like this person has this like thing inside his body that he can like just turn on. It's like, okay, you fight for me. Like, I don't know how to fight. And it's just like, it's like he has like this system of like John Wick in his body that he can just like activate. It's like, okay, cool. Help me get out of this. I'm going to die. It is so well done. Upgrade is a fantastic movie.
Sounds sick as fuck, dude.
I would be so stoked to get a text from you in 2 hours just saying like,
yo,
Upgrade fucking rips. That's all I want to hear from you in 2 hours. That's all I want is a text that says that.
We'll report back next week.
Please, yeah, let me know. But anytime that Kill Bill's on a list, I have to pick it. Volume 1 specifically. Mm-hmm. I love Volume 1. The Fight with the Crazy 88s. Like, it is such a good movie. So that's gonna be my pick. Kill Bill Volume 1.
That's a great pick. I want to shout out John Wick. John Wick 4 fucking rocks. We talked about that last week on the pod. But yeah, the ultimate story of revenge, right? I think I'm gonna go with Memento though. Just cool. Like I watched Memento as a kid. That's like one of the movies my mom showed me and like really kind of got me into film. And I think it is Christopher Nolan at possibly his most unencumbered when it comes to like studio storytelling. I think it's really unique and fascinating. And it's a fun, really crazy movie. So
it really is. Yeah. That's like his directorial debut, right? I think
so. I feel like it. I gotta get back to that, man. It's been a minute since I watched Memento, and that's
good.
That movie, I just remember like I love movies where it's like the conversation has to happen offline, right? Because like Memento, you're like wow, somebody made an edit and they like took everything and they put it in order. That's insane. Like, what does the story mean now? I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Last one we're doing, movies or shows with food in the title. This is called beef. Obviously very important when it comes to food. All I could find for TV shows, like, Food Network excluded, is Bob's Burgers. Great show. Not as good as beef. But I have a shit ton of movies. So I'm just going to list them all and prepare your ears for just an onslaught of food-related movies. Okay, here we go. Try to see if you can picture the cover or the poster of these movies as I rip through them, because that was my challenge to myself. Milk, Salt, The Grapes of Wrath, Pineapple Express, A Clockwork Orange, Good Burger, Fried Green Tomatoes, Children of the Corn, Meatballs, Big Fish, American Pie, Licorice Pizza, Mystic Pizza, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, James and the Giant Peach, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Water for Chocolate, Chocolat, Ratatouille, Sausage Party, Layer Cake, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Not specifically food, but I included it because it's breakfast. Chicken Run, The Peanut Butter Falcon, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Candyman. These last two I wanted your input on. Vanilla Sky. Does vanilla count? Is that qualifies?
Yeah, I mean that's a food, that's a flavor, okay. That's like
Okay, good. Yeah. And then Space Jam. I saw this on a list and someone was like, yeah, jam, jelly, you get the gist. And I was like, really? Really? Does it? I don't know.
That's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, it can work. I like it.
Is that what you're going to pick? You're going to go with Space Jam? You're going to allow it so you can pick it?
No, actually, I am going to go with something not on the list.
Oh, what the heck?
Well, one thing that I don't think is on the list that should be mentioned is Juice, which is a really good movie. But I'm going to shout out my co-host from my other podcast, 3 Films and a Podcast, and I'm picking the Christmas classic Mixed Nuts.
Mixed Nuts, damn. I should have known. I should have known.
Gotta do it. Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn, just like it's a great cast. So check out Mixed Nuts if you haven't seen it. A great Christmas movie with a really young Adam Sandler in it, doing early Adam Sandler stuff. So that's what I'm going to pick.
Love to hear it. That's good. I like a good Christmas movie. Christmas Cranks, all time great right there. I'm gonna go with Licorice Pizza because I fucking love Licorice Pizza, and it's got 2 foods in the title, double. And that movie is incredible, and I love it. And that's like one of the most formative movie-going experience of the last like 3 or 4 years of my life. Saw it at a local theater right when I was like understanding the importance of like, wow, we're getting another PTA movie. Like that was a big deal. And saw it opening night and it was great. It was awesome. I love that movie. And yeah, Licorice Pizza fucking rules. I don't care what anybody says.
I love it.
We do need more Bradley Cooper in that movie though. I will say, I know that there was a lot of Cooper cut from that movie, but that would have made it a little cooler. Man, a lot of movies about food, dude. That's a hot title.
So many. Yeah, that's a good one.
Last week, we did our A24 rankings. We both picked an A24 ranking for beef. Now that we've seen 6 through 10, are you changing your ranking at all? Or are you sticking with your A24 ranking for the series as a whole?
Yeah, I think I did like an A-24, but
okay, yeah, I think so.
I think I'd just bump it up to an A24 after these last 5 episodes. Like 9 alone was just like chaos, and I loved it so much. I love how it ended. So yeah, I think I would just go with a flat A24 for this.
I love it. I think I'm going to stick with a flat A24 as well, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's really incredible because like we could have gone really off the rails with how wild this show got. It could have really decimated itself and totally lost its vision. So we could have gotten really low. So I think keeping an A24 is really promising. I definitely think A24 is some stiff television competition, but I would put this up there amongst, the A24 greats. You're talking about Euphoria and stuff like that, where it's just, it's a very pivotal show, and I think it will remain a talking point in the culture for quite some time. And hopefully this is the continuation or beginning and continuation of a really strong Netflix and A24 show partnership, because this was just done really, really well.
Yeah, I agree. Bring us season 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too furious. Let's do it.
To be too furious.
Let's make it happen.
Next week, we got the big guns, Ben. Beau is Afraid. It is happening. It is time. Your most anticipated 2023 A24 project. How you fucking feeling, dude?
Dude, so today at work, a quick side tangent. A coworker and I are both big A24 fans, and we got talking about Beau is Afraid. And then another person on our team came up and asked about it, and like we were like tasked with the job of trying to explain Ari Aster's movies.
No.
And I was just like, I don't even know how to start, you know, because he had like never even heard of any of them, which is like totally fine. That's whatever. But to try to explain just how insane Hereditary is, and just like, and my coworker who happens to also be named Ben, but he thought like Midsommar was kind of more nuts, more intense than Hereditary, which was also true. And so just explaining like, yeah, some guy like gets his head bashed in with a mallet because he didn't die when he fell off the cliff. Then someone's hung by their skin, and then Toni Collette saws her head off with piano wire. It's like, yeah, but he has a new movie coming out with Joaquin Phoenix. It looks really good. You know? He's just like, what is wrong with you guys? You know, like, I don't know, man.
Y'all are fucked up.
I can't wait. That's 3 hours of Ari Aster, so I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait to talk about it.
It's going to be incredible, man. Probably our longest pod yet, to be honest. And
without a doubt.
We are ready. We are ready to soak in every moment and can't wait. It's just going to be a delight.
We're going to be talking about it right after watching it, because we're both seeing it Thursday night, which, by the way, any of you A24 employees who are listening, if you want to send us screeners so that we don't have to stay up until like 2 a.m. to talk about these movies,
please and thank you.
That'd be awesome. I'm happy to do it, but it'd be great to get a little heads up here.
I will piggyback on that, and I will say I'm flying in from the Boston Marathon. It is happening. I'm running a marathon on Monday. I'm flying back home on Tuesday. I'm driving 2 hours away to go pick up my children from my dad's house. I'm driving 2 hours back and then immediately proceeding to go watch Beau is Afraid in that same day. That is how much I care about this film. So yeah, A24, shout out. If you want to plug us, that'd be sick, so I can get some sleep.
Yeah, please. Yeah, help us out here. But I'm super excited. This is gonna be fun. But that's been really good. The last 2 episodes of talking about beef. We'd love to know what you guys thought about this back half here, these last 5 episodes, 6 through 10. Obviously, you've heard what we think. They crushed it and just ramped it up, and it was fantastic. So let us know what you think. Yeah, they beefed it up. They've really beefed it up. Jesus Christ. All right. Well,
we're done. This is it. Pause over.
This is it. We're done. I should have left a while ago. Let us know what you think. You can hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. We are at 24 minutes of A24. Also, we are on YouTube. So please check us out there. Ethan does a great job putting, clips together, putting the show together. So it's always fun just to know that our faces are being watched. Again, shout out to Vibe, because I love seeing our faces on that TV every single time. So check us out on YouTube. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.